Waiting, waiting, waiting. Hey.
Hey.
What's up? What are you eating?
What am I eating?
Yeah, are you eating something?
It's 5 gum. This is how it feels to chew 5 gum. You want to see stuff?
5 gum.
Booyah.
So how much am I getting paid off of this really elaborate 5 gum advertisement that you've looped me into without any permission whatsoever?
Probably like 5 of something.
I'm getting paid 5 of something?
Like 5 cents, $5.
Could be $5. Could be 5. Is $1 million or something? 5 million?
Just 5. We'll just go with
5. Okay. Maybe 5 packages of 5 gum or 5 lifetimes.
What if you had a brand deal and that's all the like middleman said? He's like, so how much am I going to pay for this? 5?
Honestly, over the years, I've been offered some really bad brand deals. You know.
I haven't done any yet, but they scare me a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah. So have you gotten a few offers here and there to
oh yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah, my email is a shit show, but when I finally go through, I'll see like Dollar Shave Club or Squarespace or something. And like I'm actually using Squarespace, so I'd probably do that one because I like Squarespace. But
you probably should do that one. I've gotten some weird ones over the years where sometimes they'll just be like written in really horrible, like bad broken English, and it'll be like
they're like hieroglyphics.
It'll be like a single link to a really shady like Amazon seller page. And it'll be like some weird piece of niche convenience technology that probably doesn't work, or like when you buy it, it'll break. And they'll be like, "How much to promote our product?" And I'll just be, just out of hopes and dreams, and I'll just be like, "Just give me 30 grand, and I'll promote it for you, dude. Just 30 G's. I'll promote the shit out of your weird fucking whatever the fuck that is. I don't know what
for that amount. Yeah, you're gonna sell the shit out of whatever it is.
for that amount, anybody who's pissed about it, I can just buy them a free copy of the new Daughters record or something. You know what I mean? And just like probably break even after it, and everybody's happy at the end of the day. A really shitty product gets promoted. A band sells a bunch of records. People get music. I get a little bit of money in my pocket. Yeah,
there it is. I feel like I need to like zoom out more because you're in really good frame, and I'm just like holding my phone up here.
You can hold your phone. Actually, hold the camera just do the rest of the interview right up your nose, please.
I got really chapped lips right now.
Oh, me too. I got those lips chapped like a motherfucker.
Yeah,
it's very cold and dry out right now. It's very cold and dry.
Yeah, you want to see? It snowed a shit ton today. I'm not gonna
show me that
dox myself, but it's we snow boys.
Guys, listen.
Oh, there's
shit. Oh shit! Now we really know where you are.
Yep.
Now you really doxed yourself.
I live exactly where UPS trucks go, which is everywhere.
I guys, remember this is really the only kind of interview footage you're going to see on this channel. Okay, this is the kind of nitty gritty stuff that you're only going to get from the needle drop.
That's right. You want to see my? Can I flip the camera around? I don't know if I can. Right now, my wallpaper's from Initial D, and I'm pretty hyped on it.
That's pretty hype. That's hype.
I don't watch a lot of anime, but I've been going nuts on
this double wallpaper, or is that just like you HDMI'd the?
Oh yeah, this is my laptop just going to this bad boy.
Got it. Now that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, or just sort of put out there for anybody who's watching who doesn't know so far. You're quite a successful and wonderful and beloved new face in the YouTube community.
Thank you.
Very smart and thoughtful, and sometimes even emotional and tear-inducing essays on the power and influence and cultural impact of video games at large. And
that was better spoken than I've ever described my channel to anyone.
Thank you. I hope one day
that's very sweet of you.
I hope one day I can swing the needle drop into a really cushy job where I'm just like, Zane Lowe sitting on like a fluffy white chair and just like asking really softball questions to random people who, hit it big.
Just making a shit ton of money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So much money. I don't even have to worry about promoting products on random Amazon pages that turn up in my account. You know what I mean?
No Daughters albums going out. Just money going in, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Just money coming in.
So I wanted to ask you, because of your content and because of your age and because of the the video games and the titles that you typically talk about, and some of the nostalgia that I have for those titles myself, because I grew up playing some of them as well, especially on, the PlayStation 2 and 64 platforms and that kind of thing. Um, what exactly do you feel like is gaming culture today? Because I feel like back then it was so localized and it was so niche, and now it seems like it's wider and it's larger and it's more difficult to define than ever. I mean, sure, there are like jokes and memes out there that do hold true for some sections of the gaming community, like the monster drinks and the Mountain Dew and the Doritos Loco shit.
The classic generalizations.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, how much of the gaming community do you feel like those stereotypes actually apply to these days? How far reaching is gaming now at this point?
I don't think it was ever like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's definitely the crowd that's like pounding Mountain Dews, and like I like Mountain Dew sometimes, but like I knew friends in high school that were like considered like jocks or whatever, and they were like super into D&D and like playing Halo all the time. And even like back then, Halo was one of the exceptions that wasn't like nerdy because enough people played it. It's like the whole drink playing Fortnite.
Oh, you're breaking up for some reason. I can't.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Go off on the D&D thing.
Yeah. Oh, I cut out there. I was just saying that, like, even back with, like, when I was in school or whatever, with like Halo 3 or Call of Duty, that were starting to be like, oh, everyone plays these. Like, it's not like a loser thing to play video games. And then like, it's looked at a lot, but I think like Drake playing Fortnite with Ninja was a big moment of finally being like, hey, those, like, it's not just dweebus loser lame rods that are playing games. Like, everyone plays games, no one just talked about it. Like, this whole time, I'm sure every rapper like beat Ocarina of Time, but they're not like talking about it all the time, like,
but I can attest to that these days in a lot of rap songs, in many rap songs. Like, Pokemon gets hella fucking name drops. Pokemon gets crazy name drops. And if you're listening to a mixtape or an album from a rapper who's more of like a chill, laid back stoner type, like, there's going to be at least 2 rhymes about 2K on that album.
Yeah.
Like, at least a few rhymes about
2K and Madden were always like, that's not a game, that's sports. That doesn't count as a video game. Like,
but still, there are like a lot of 2K rhymes. There are a lot of Pokemon rhymes, and there are a lot of 2K rhymes.
Yeah.
So
the Pokemon one is good. I've definitely heard people say like, I'll make your Bulba sore, shit like that, like puns like that.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, baby, that Raichu is got me bolting. I don't know.
And I don't know if you saw it, but there was recently like a posse cut that got dropped from a bunch of top Smash players, and it was just like guys like Zero and Shofu, and they were just doing nothing but just dropping lines about Super Smash Brothers.
I didn't see it, but that sounds like bad, but in like a good way bad.
There are like some pretty good beat switches, and some of them actually like have flow and everything. I don't know if everybody like wrote all their rhymes. I don't know if there's any like ghostwriting going on behind the scene, but I think it was definitely an epic gamer moment.
Yeah, I think totally. And that I with talking about all of this, I think that like for a while, specifically with the hip hop community of like sampling old beats, I think there's been so much crossover between video games and rap music, and it's just now being way more like public. They're like, oh wow, that like that's, with everyone playing fucking Fortnite or having PS4s or whatever, that now it's actually shown that like, oh wait, no, yeah, like they play video games too. But yeah, like you said, for a while, they're like making puns about Mortal Kombat or Pokemon or whatever.
Absolutely Mortal Kombat. I would say the Mortal Kombat rhymes have actually kind of gone back a while, especially in artists who have maybe a bit more of like a Wu-Tang influence, because they're obviously pulling from the violent imagery of that game, and part out like Kano or some shit like that. So definitely like a long way back, Mortal Kombat references and rhymes have been going on for a while.
Yeah, I just saw in the comments someone said Burial sampled Metal Gear a lot, and they're totally right. Like, I was listening to Untrue the other day, and there was like the 2 things I noticed was the Archangel, the Metal Gear Solid 2 trailer sample of like the choir, and then there's also the Ray J One Wish sample of like the vocals. Because I've been listening to Ray J because I'm super into R&B right now, and I heard that and I was like, "What the fuck? He sampled this? That's amazing!" But yeah, there's it's. I think it's funny with like the video games and the rap community because recently, on the flip side of it, like the new Mortal Kombat trailer had a 21 Savage song, and I thought the trailer was sweet. I thought the trailer was awesome. Like me and I don't know if you know Eddie Burback. He's another YouTube dude, but he's a good friend of mine, and he was the one that showed me the trailer because he was hyped on it. And we saw in the comments that it's almost like the flip side of what we're talking about. There were comments from gamers that were like, "This doesn't reflect the fighting game community at all. This is stupid." This,
yeah, there were like a lot of
do you know the fighting game community? Like what? Yeah.
No, I mean, you know, like video games are such a big budget endeavor these days, and of course, like when people put out a trailer for a game that's going to be wildly popular and has like the kind of I guess the word I'm looking for is a profile that Mortal Kombat has. Like, of course, they're going to pick like a really popular song at the time. Like back in the day, like what the fuck was the theme song for the Mortal Kombat movie? It was like some, you know, hard-nosed techno shit with the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, because that was hot at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was popular at the time.
I still love that type of shit too.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a pretty fucking epic theme, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like jock jam sounding shit.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, you know, for like this day and age, I think to have like a trap song in a video game trailer only makes sense. I feel like in order to sort of like perfect the ring and make it come full circle, I mean, you'd probably just have to pay 21 Savage to like start spitting some rhymes literally about the characters in the game.
Yeah.
And that's not even, if I recall, that's probably happened at some point.
Yeah, I think the song that they used for the trailer, I'm pretty sure he made it for the trailer because he directly like talks about Mortal Kombat stuff. I like Mortal Kombat. I like 21 Savage. I thought that it fit the vibe of it perfectly and like how they edited it with the music. Like I was all jacked off when I saw it, and then I saw people in the comments like, "This is stupid," and I was like, "You're stupid. This rules."
I don't know if you caught it, but I thought it was kind of like a bit of an ingenious marketing idea that they had to have done on purpose, but for Nintendo to release that Smash trailer totally silent with no music behind it whatsoever, and then everybody started doing the remixes with like different songs in the background and seeing
like they knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly, and seeing like what synced up and what didn't, and that Queen. I don't know if you saw the Queen one that they did, but I think it lined up the best. Which was they put the song "Don't Stop Me Now" behind the trailer, and synced up perfectly. To the point where some of Freddie Mercury's lyrics like actually made sense with the characters that were popping up on the screen. As he was
like some Wizard of Oz, like dark
it was like serious. It was like seriously eerie, you know. It was seriously like some Wizard of Oz, Dark Side of the Moon shit. It really did make me think like, okay, they literally had to have put that song in here and then just took it out afterwards and like, let's just throw it out there and see if it sort of makes the connection.
That type of stuff is awesome.
So, you know, let me ask you a bit of a personal question here. You know, about your feelings, because I feel like they are kind of a very pivotal part of your video series.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I have feelings. Yep.
you do have feelings. You do have feelings. I think you're a very emotional boy, which is quite nice.
I listen to Hawthorne Heights a lot by myself.
We can actually get some of your music. We can get some of your music taste a little bit after this. But I wanted to ask
it's all over the place.
You know, I wanted to ask you, what is it about games that just sort of have spoken to you in this way, where it just sort of seems like they're so much deeper and so much more important than, you know, just like a casual entertainment killing time type experience? Because it seems like, you know, you talk about games in the same way that I might talk about music, you know, because I feel like personally, until I watched your videos, and I guess I've always sort of thought of video games as art, but I guess I've never really had like that deep emotional connection to them in the same way that I've always had with music and that sort of thing. And you know, I think it's very interesting because I feel like you represent a budding generation of people who consume entertainment who back in the day when I was much younger, just playing NES, I think that a lot of us didn't really take video games all that seriously. There was still this prevailing narrative that, it's dorky to play them. You shouldn't waste time playing them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they're rotting your brain. Everyone's
Mm-hmm.
brains from my generation are apparently rotted from playing video games,
Yeah.
and you've sort of fostered this amazing emotional connection to them based off of not only the quality of the game and the storylines within, but also things that are going on in your life around the time of playing these games. And it's just like really incredible. And I think that so many people connect to your content because your experience probably isn't too much unlike how other people look back upon a lot of these games that they've played over
Mm-hmm.
the years that have, sort of held pivotal roles in their development, or it's almost just like a great movie that you look back on that you remember from a pivotal time in your life, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think that a lot of that definitely has to do with being the youngest in a family with 8 kids, which is a lot. And then being born at the time I was, because it was like I was born in 94. So it was basically right before huge things were happening in video games. So to me, it was like, because I've thought about this too, like why video games? Why is that like the thing that I know undoubtedly gets me the most like excited? And even I barely even play video games, if I'm being honest. Like now, like I'm busy doing stuff, but like I I try to think about like why is it that that's the thing I've latched onto, and it's just that like I think just watching my older siblings play like Ocarina of Time for the first time, or playing like Metal Gear Solid or anything, that it's just blows your mind that you're like, whoa, how does this exist? Like I was playing with toys, I like this. This is like it's like something about my brain just latched onto it, and I was like, this is the thing. And then I think another thing that made me really latch onto it is the fact that like for a good portion of my childhood, my parents actually like started banning video games in our house because of the whole rotting your brain. Like we saw
Yeah.
what it did to your older siblings. Like we're gonna take away the 64, do all that. So like the basically at the beginning of the like PS2, Xbox, GameCube generation, like early 2000s, that was like the time where I wasn't supposed to be playing games, but I secretly still did because obviously I was.
And am I to understand these games destroyed your older siblings' lives? Is that what I'm?
I
Is that
mean,
your
no,
parents'
I think
opinion or something?
I'm not to blame it on my brother Isaac, but I think he kind of ruined it for me because he was the one that would like play all the JRPGs like Final Fantasy VIII and stuff, and my parents would be like, "Isaac, come get dinner," and he'd go, "Hold on, I just gotta save," and then he'd just keep playing for a while, and it wasn't him. I'm obviously joking, but it didn't help the argument. And then I think one of the biggest things was Grand Theft Auto. Easily, I mean, it's so cliche, but it's like Grand Theft Auto, Mortal Kombat, being in the news. Parents, I don't blame my parents. They were just trying to do what they thought was right. Like when I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
about being a
you have to
parent.
consider like the super limited amount of access to information that parents had in the 90s and the 2000s. And if you're
Yeah,
seeing this news report from a reputable source talking about how dangerous video games are, and with the rise of school shootings and that sort of thing, like, and people not really knowing like what are
yeah,
the underlying societal causes of this stuff. It's more of just kind of a bad correlation causation thing. Like, well, the only thing we can think of is this new violent video games thing. Outside of that, everything's exactly the same, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
um,
And you have stuff like the Columbine kids having made like mods for Doom and all that stuff. And so of course the media is like, we're not going to blame society or the parents or the actual causes. We're going to look at this one thing and ruin it for everyone. Like kids like me that like I saw Grand Theft Auto. Like I think the 2 games that blew my mind the most were Ocarina of Time and Grand Theft Auto 3, because it was both of this like you're in this world, and then especially when I got to play GTA 3 at my friends for the first time, which I never would have been able to play that at home, let alone any video game.
yeah.
I didn't even care that you could kill people. I just thought it was cool that you could do whatever you want. I just wanted to ride dirt bikes off of jumps. Like my parents would have never understood that at the time, but that would have been my argument of like, I just want to play this game because it's like a giant Lego bucket. Like, because I literally with my Legos, I would make little towns and like play GTA with the Legos, just because I thought it was like, oh, that kind of freedom and to go in the alleyway and do jumps, like that's cool. But of course, yeah, the news is like Grand Theft Auto is gonna kill your kid, and then also Rockstar fed into that for marketing, so they purposely made all of the marketing being like, this is a game for adults, or like you know,
Yeah.
Conker's Bad Fur Day or all that stuff, that it's all about like, oh, this is naughty, can't play this. And so then everyone's like, I want to play it. But yeah.
That's actually one of my favorite games from the 64 era, Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah.
Really tell that was like,
I love
that
it.
was going to be one of the last games they put out on that platform, and they were just like, this is one of our last hurrahs. Let's just put out the raunchiest, weirdest game that we possibly can. And yeah, obviously it's like a really weird and raunchy game, but I think a lot of people looking back don't like appreciate just how witty and funny a lot of the humor
It's hilarious.
was.
And it looks amazing. For, like you said, it was like the swan song for the 64, because I think it came out literally right before the GameCube came out, so it was already kind of that crossover. But like, I own it and I still play it sometimes, and it looks amazing for a 64 game. And the fact that it has voice acting in a 64 game and is like genuinely still hilarious, there's a reason it's like fucking $70-80 on eBay, because now everyone wants it, and I hold on to my copy like, nah, you ain't, no one's taking this. Like, I'm never getting rid of this shit.
That's fucking awesome. And the multiplayer in the game is great, and I love
it's so good.
It's so good, and I love the different you know, variations of multiplayer games that you could play from you know, not only like those weird wolf characters sort of chasing each other around with Tommy guns, but also like when, oh my god, it's so fucking weird to think of this now because of like the I guess the political climate currently, but that fucking multiplayer game where all the bears are gunning down the fucking like immigrants.
Yeah, they're like squirrels that are heavily
exactly.
seen to be like Jewish. That's kind of the thing.
Like,
it's
because
very,
there's so many nods to the bears being like Nazis.
Yeah.
During the points where you're infiltrating the sort of the bear hideout and killing all the bears.
Yeah, that game could not come out today. Is what
that game could not come out today. But honestly, I loved playing those immigrant characters and sort of like sneaking past, and there was like, you know, a certain throughway that like no matter what you could always make it through without like, you know, but without fail if you were just like really careful.
Yeah. No, that game mode's super fun. I remember the frame rate when you're playing it with 4 players. The frame rate on the 64 gets so fucking bad that it's just like a slideshow because there's so much going on. But yeah, it's super fun. That game's one of a kind. I've honestly thought about making a video on Conkers for a long time. Yeah. Just because it's a very special game. But
yeah, it's very, very unique, and it's a very weird fucking game. And it's like, you know, a really creative takeoff of everything Rareware had done up until that point with like Banjo-Kazooie and all that stuff. But like
GoldenEye,
yeah, exactly. But let's just go like full tilt and make a super adult, weird fucking game, and you know, just like piss off the parents, I guess. Which, you know, was kind of like I think a formative time for video games, because you know, the gaming audience was starting to get up there a little bit in those teenage years, and you could start to, you know, get a little bit racier with the content that you were playing with, you know, in such a way where the title actually kind of like took off and got popular, not like a weird old obscure.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that it's like the with the 90s 2000s, like super pivotal point getting into 3D gaming. For a while it very much was that like the audience was growing up with what the developers were trying to do. That you're totally right. Like, oh, now that these people that are our general market through the 90s are old enough that in this generation, like doing something like a game about BMX XXX where it's girls with huge tits on BMX bikes, like they're gonna love this shit. Or like the Playboy games or whatever, that like, oh, they're all jerking off anyways, they can jerk off to this video game.
Or even just like around that time when games started to get a little bit more violent and racier, that was when they started to implement the rating system, which I remember when that was like an altogether new thing, you know, for them to start saying like, you know, this game is like for 17-year-olds and that's it. You can't have this game if you're not 17, okay?
Yeah, which now that's a total joke that like,
yeah, all
of the Call of Duties are technically 17 and up, but most of the demographic is like 17 and down, probably.
Yeah, 17 is about when you grow out of playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I want to ask you a question about sort of the current landscape of games and game consumption. You know, a lot of the titles that you end up talking about in your videos, you know, are very popular and relevant, and they come out on, you know, large systems and platforms. But, you know, is there anything today that excites you about sort of this new wave of games on Steam and platforms like that, where you have all these independent developers like kind of pushing the genre in a creative way and kind of inventing new games to game and or inventing new ways to kind of game entirely?
Hell yeah. No, that's like the stuff that I honestly, like I said, I haven't been actively gaming a lot, but that is the stuff that I definitely try to pay attention to, of just like, okay, my time is a little more valuable than it was in previous life because I'm self-employed now, and I'm trying to be like a good boy and stay productive. So it's honestly, it's like been a learning lesson of trying to force myself to relax, if that makes sense. But when I do, definitely try to keep out for like, okay, what's actually worth my time? What's new? What's like a good experience that's not just like a, you know, a dumb sit down and play this for 7 hours and there's fucking quick time events and you turn your brain off. Which those games are fine. Like I still love those types of games, like, you know, Uncharted 2 or something that's basically a movie. That's like the perfect game to just turn your brain off. Like, it doesn't require a lot out of you, but it's super enjoyable. But like, I've played enough of those games that now it's like, okay, when I'm going to sit down and play a game, like, what's something cool that I'm going to get something new out of? So like, for a while that was Dark Souls or Bloodborne. It was like, whoa, this game is kicking my ass and making me feel a lot of things with its like atmosphere and story or whatever. Like, I'm obsessed with this now. And then it was like Breath of the Wild, or then it was, you know, getting more into battle royale games or whatever. And right now it's like, I don't know. I'm not really playing anything right now. I still haven't even played Apex Legends, which looks super good because I'm like a huge Titanfall fan, so I'm probably gonna love it. But yeah, I think like Steam and any form of indie developers just being able to make something cool and then it's immediately available for everyone is amazing. Like, I played Super Hot in VR for the first time a couple weeks ago, and it blew my fucking mind. Like, that's one of the coolest games I've ever played, and it was made by like a small team in Unity, and it like was amazing. So it's, I guess my short answer of all that is it's cool. I like games.
I like games, it would seem.
Mountain Dew in my veins, poured in my eyes. I like games. That's my final answer.
Is there anything about the content that you make that you feel like you're almost do you feel like creatively you're churning out content that reflects on you as more of an essayist, more of a historian? Is, in your opinion, there almost even like a journalistic aspect to what you're doing as well?
A good ass question, because that's one I ask myself a lot of like, because I don't know, you being fellow creator, dude, I'm sure it's almost like nicer in your mind if you pigeonhole yourself a little bit of being like, okay, I'm this thing, I got to make videos in this way. It's easier to think about like, okay, what kind of videos are we gonna make like that? But like, for me, I've made enough different kinds of videos that when it comes time to make a new video, it's hard to try to decide like, okay, what kind of tone do I want to do? Is it going to be silly? Do I want to talk about something I care about? And like, end of the day, it's amazing that I get to do that, and like my viewers are super receptive and they're basically down for whatever I've done so far, which is super, super cool. Like, that doesn't happen to every channel. Like, I'm super grateful for that. But
yeah,
if I'm being honest, it's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes when I'm trying to think of an idea, because like that, you know, 40-minute long Red Dead video where I'm tearing it apart and being like, hey, this is why I was disappointed, is 100% different from a 7-minute video about me talking about Disney movies. But like, they both do pretty well and people seem to like them, so it's cool. But it's also like, who am I, end of the day? Like, I don't know what my channel is.
Yeah, I did not expect the Disney video at all, and that was like a particular era of content that I did not indulge in at all. Like, when those shows came around, I mean, that type of programming, even when they indulged on it, like on Nickelodeon and stuff, like I was not all that into it at all. It was just like not my genre. I was just so much more of like an animation head. Like, if it was animation, I was crazy about it, or I was obsessed with it, and you know, I was like just very much into different animators and that sort of thing. But I feel like the crowd of people that you've amassed and the era of nostalgia and culture that you're talking about with them, yeah, sure, it's through the lens of video games, but most likely a lot of them remember that same era of content on the Disney Channel too, so it really only kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that it's like that one in the Scholastic Book Fair ones are one where it's like I really have fun making them. Like they're not terribly hard to make. They're just fun. I just like make a bunch of jokes that I've written down in front of a camera and like try to edit it and then try to have some sort of point. But I've also had a feeling with those particular ones and kind of the Flash game one too of like, I think it's good to use nostalgia in my content, but I never want it to be like a crutch, which is why I was super happy that the Red Dead video did really good, like really good. It's like my most viewed video because that didn't rely on a lot of things that I'd gotten used to using. So that was very validating. Like, oh no, like I don't need to be talking about like, hey, remember this thing, which I still like to do because it's fun. Like that shit's super fun to write. But I'd be lying if I said with those videos I didn't have moments where I was like, is this like what am I saying here? Is this like worth anyone's time? Like, but yeah, I don't know. My channel's weird. I'm super stoked on it, but sometimes I kind of have like mini identity crises, whatever the word is about it. Dino Crisis. I am Dino Crisis, the game.
It's I could see why that is, considering how again, how wildly different a lot of your videos have been over the years. I mean, I feel like I'm in a position where I'm blessed, where I've been able to put out so much content that does kind of repeat a formula for such a long amount of time that I feel pretty confident in what I want to do and what I want to say and how the video is going to turn out when I'm done with it.
Yeah, it's like clockwork.
However, it can be almost like, as someone who makes anything on a regular basis for a living, or even just, you want to do it for a living, it can be almost like almost having like a crisis of identity or content maker dysmorphia or something, to go back and look at your old stuff. It's like, oh, it's different. It's like a different wall, and it's a different this, and it's a different that. Which can also put you in a position where you feel almost like afraid to change, because if you do, then that's like another crazy thing that like a year down the road you're going to look back on. You're like, oh God, I can't believe I used to have like a dark background, or I used to wear that shirt, or I used to intro my videos that way. It can be weird looking back and looking at some of my older videos and seeing that I used to walk out in front of a tree.
But like none of the viewers think about that stuff. That's I know 100% what you mean, but like being a viewer of yours for like years now, I never thought twice about that stuff. It's like, oh, it's Anthony.
True.
Like,
it's true. They absolutely do not think about it at all.
Yeah.
But I guess there is still like the concern that it could still be like a subconscious thing. You know what I mean? Because when sometimes when something does change, or something unexpected happens, or I forget a title, or I don't bring up a certain thing that I would usually bring up, it usually does garner comments. People are like, hey, you usually do this, and sometimes the comments responding to something being slightly changed range from, hey, why don't you do this thing that I always expect you to do, to like concern for my well-being. It's like, are you okay, man? Is everything okay? Do you need to take a break? Because like you didn't, that thing didn't happen that usually happens. And I'm like, really worried now, because like, if everything was okay, then everything would be exactly the same. So there definitely are people who do kind of depend on you to sort of like, give them exactly what you expect, or what they expect to get.
Because that's all they see, right? That like that's the only thing that your super nice viewers that are like caring for your well-being, you got to remember that's the only thing they're going off of. Like they don't see you in the morning when you wake up. They don't know like your mood of the day. You know what I mean? Like I've had comments like that too. Like, is he doing okay? Just because that's how it looked in the video. But that could have been like an amazing day for me. But for whatever reason, that just wasn't portrayed in the video. So people are like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, I was just a little tired or something. I'm fine. Or vice versa, that a video where I'm super obnoxious, like, hey, look at this, blah, 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 that I was like super depressed that day or something. Like you don't really know. Like that's I don't know if that's ever something that, unless you're a vlogger and you're showing everything, that I don't think your viewers are ever going to know. And that's okay, but it's just something to keep in mind with, the whole weird, like, am I doing this right? Is this part of my program? Like, did I hit all the beats? Is this like what people expect? Or, yeah. But end of the day, I think because I never thought about that stuff for your channel, being just a viewer of like, oh, the tree intros, that's weird or whatever. Like, to me, it was always just, that's just Anthony. Like, you, end of the day, the people, they come for you, not necessarily the format. Like, after so much time, it's like they're coming there for you. I think that's why my different format videos and all the different shit I've done has actually like been received well, which I'm super grateful for. Is like, I didn't realize for the longest time that they don't care about the title and the thumbnail. Like, that'll get you more viewers, but like your regular viewers, they're at that point, they're just coming because they want to see what you're up to. Like, they'll probably watch just about anything, unless it's really dog shit. Like, that's a scary generalization, but you know, they're not going to watch anything.
At the end of the day, your personality is still there. Your sense of humor is still there. You know, even if it's a totally different format. So it's not really that big of a deal. You know, to sort of change up the format every once in a while, or be talking about, you know, Disney shows. If you're a channel that primarily talks about video games and everything like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I kind of wanted to go off of something that you were talking about earlier, how nostalgia sort of plays a bit of a pivotal role in what you're doing, but yet it seems like you also don't want to be like, and there are enough channels and content creators out there like this. Like, you don't want to be the retro guy, you know? It's like, hey guys, we're going to talk about this game from the 80s now.
Yeah. Exactly the shit I'm trying to avoid, because I see enough of those channels, and some of them are good. Like, that's
some of them are really good.
Yeah,
you know, but the thing is, like, I feel like what every generation needs to come to the realization of is that they're going to grow old, and they're going to come to a point where they are nostalgic for the time period that they grew up during, and the types of things that they remember from back in the day. And you know, it's really good to look back on some of that stuff and critically reanalyze it, because it can sort of put a lot of that stuff in a new light. Stuff that maybe at the time you thought wasn't as substantive as maybe it actually is looking back on it, or you know, is actually worse than you thought it actually was. I know there are some pretty pivotal, like, you know, media moments for me that I look back on very fondly. I mean, I remember one of my favorite TV shows from when I was a kid that I think still holds up today. And you know, I'm probably dating myself, and there are probably a lot of people out there in the comments who have not seen not even an episode of it, but The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
P and P or B and P?
Pete and Pete.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's this old fucking Nickelodeon show about two brothers, and it's probably one of the weirdest and most surreal children's television shows that I've ever seen. Like, it's got this little brother character who has a tattoo of like a flamenco dancer on his arm, and he'll, like, you know, make her dance and everything. And you know, there are all sorts of like weird characters. Like, there's this superhero character called Artie that is just literally a skinny grown man in children's pajamas. And whenever they're in trouble or something happens, he'll appear on scene and just be like, "I'm Artie, the strongest man in the world." And, you know, he would just like do some ridiculous shit, and, you know, have like some superpowers or something like that. Like, there was this weird episode where the dad of the two brothers was having a feud with one of the dads next door, and as a prank, he had Artie come over and push his house 2 inches to the right, so that when he went to put his key in the door, he would miss the key into the door.
Sounds like a fever dream. Like,
the show makes no fucking sense.
You were really high and you like fell asleep for a while.
Every episode is like being fucking high out of your mind. There's literally an episode where one of the brothers has like a psychedelic experience after eating too many ice creams at school, because he's decided that there's a history test in 30 minutes. He has to study for it, and to cram for it, he's going to eat 10 ice creams and then just like cram the whole book into his head.
Like,
and
it's
then
Adderall, but
he starts having these imagined experiences where he's talking with like fucking, you know, some framer of the Constitution, and, you know, he's like talking about the battle with the British and da 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 da. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. And geniusly, Meanwhile, while that's going on with the older brother, the little brother is in the middle of a dodgeball tournament, which is being led by the British gym teacher who is taking away their gym so his dodgeball team can practice. And they're all dressed in red. Meanwhile, the kids who want to play dodgeball and they're not allowed to are dressed in like blue and rags and da 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 da. So it becomes this Revolutionary War dodgeball battle set against the older brother's experience trying to cram for the the Revolutionary War test. Like, it's a really genius and
I feel like you're making
show
up right now.
No, this is a real fucking show, and it's an amazing show. It's a really fucking amazing show.
Adventures of Pete.
And they say it was hugely influential to directors like Wes Anderson, and at the time it had like a lot of really interesting and weird celebrity guests, like the dude from the Violent Femmes and Iggy Pop and Michael Stipe. Like,
crazy. Yeah.
Michael Stipe, during the height of REM's popularity, was in
on this show.
Yes, was in like this weird rinky-dink kids show that had a super, super low fucking budget. Like, the budget of this show was ridiculously low.
I should check it out. It sounds nutty.
You should check it out, dude. It's a weird fucking show, and it holds up for adults too, because it's just like a really odd concept. Like, every episode has like like the weirdest sort of concept imaginable. Like,
I'm in front of my computer. I want to look this shit up. I just want to see what the animation like.
Yeah, no, it's a live action show. It's a live action show.
Oh, I was thinking it was animated.
No, it's a live action show. It's
that makes it even crazier.
It's actually one of the few live action shows from that era that I just loved.
Wow, yeah. This whole time I was imagining it looking like Rocko's Modern Life or something. But
no, it's a great live action show. There's a great episode where the little brother's bus driver won't let the kids off the bus because he broke up with his girlfriend, and he's driving around town giving them a tour of all the places they used to go when they were still dating. There's another episode where their grandfather comes to the house and basically ignites a feud between the two brothers because he needs to pass down this amazing, like, haunted bowling ball that he has had in the family for years, and the two brothers essentially like kind of go to war.
It sounds like the Mighty Boosh or something.
It was a hugely influential show. Like, how weird and surreal and just funky and crazy the concepts of the show were. There were very few live action kid shows around from that time that played with reality in the way that show did, because there were so many things throughout the show that just like could never happen in real life, and it was just like really fantastical.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and one of the genres is surrealism, and it ran from 93 to 96, which would make sense why I never seen it, because that was like, it ended when I was 2, so I wasn't really.
So for like a kid show, for a 90s show, it was a supremely weird bit of programming, and I highly recommend that you check it out, because it's a weird fucking show. I'm sorry.
Chat, you heard it. Go subscribe to Pete and Pete. Can I get some Pete and Pete from the chat?
Gang, gang.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. This interview devolved into my love of Pete, but still, every generation has those cultural pinpoints that they need somebody who experienced the same thing to essentially go back and validate that experience for them, because so much of our experiences, past and present, are based on whether or not other people felt them and experienced that as well. Another example of that kind of comes to mind is that awesome video game nerd episode where he went into the Bernstein versus Berenstain Bears spelling, where everybody who grew up during that generation were convinced that it was Bernstein Bears the entire time, and it was actually spelled the exact opposite fucking way. And
I never saw that episode. I have watched a lot of his shit. You're talking about the AVGN, right?
Yeah. But he had this ridiculous episode where he just fucking inceptioned his whole audience by reminding them that this old classic children's book series that everybody from back in the day remembers reading was not spelt the way that everyone recalls it being spelled. And it was almost as if somebody went back in time and changed it without everybody realizing.
Everyone got goofed.
Everybody got goofed and spoofed.
Everyone got spoofed as shit.
But again, it's like, without other people who or see online validating what had actually happened in the past, like your memory of it's going to be weird and foggy and not 100%. And I feel like content like yours definitely serves the purpose of letting people know that what they experienced happened, and also that it was actually like kind of important. It wasn't just like sitting down and playing a dumb video game. It actually meant something.
Yeah, I like thinking of it like that way better. I never, even making this shit, I never thought of it like that. I think that's why I would get more air on the side of being afraid of using it as a crutch, because there's so many, stand-up comedians or whatever. It's like the easiest shit to make jokes about. Like, hey, remember this? And everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I remember that. Like on Vine or whatever. But no, I like. You're totally right.
Oh, you're breaking up again. I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you now.
I think that, yeah, subconsciously there probably was something in my mind of also why I've ended those videos with kind of like a point to it of that. Yeah, it is about that thing of like, yes, this is a fun thing that happened. Let's like get nostalgic about it. Like, it's kind of important that it happened. Mostly with the Flash Games video, I am really proud of how that one turned out. Of being like,
yeah, that one did turn out really good, and that was kind of a pivotal point for me as well, because while me and my friends we did play a lot of console games back in the day. After school, we loved going on Newgrounds and just like playing whatever horrible. Like we knew they were bad, but what was
a
so
lot of
fun
them were
about
bad.
them?
Yeah.
What was so fun about them is how raw they were, and also just like how blatantly offensive a lot of them were. Just like the point where you're just like, I remember like a weird Flash game where it was like a side scrolling airship game, like R Type or something like that. And I think like you were just like a sperm and you were like flying into the face of that rapper singer Cisco. Like it made no fucking sense.
Of all the people, it's
of
fucking
all the people.
Cisco.
But the thing is, like around the time he had a huge hit song, and whoever made that game was probably some teenage loser who's a part-time pervert who was just like, let me make this game where just like sperm fly into the face of this popular music artist whose music I don't really like.
Yeah, no, I think all of that, like the basically internet being in its like pre-teen or teen phase of it, just everyone's kind of making stuff because it's a place where they can make whatever. So it's almost like a competition to be like, well, it's Wild West. We can do whatever we want. All right, what's the most fucked up shit we can think of? And then kids like me find it, and I'm like, oh my god! And then I show it to my friends, and they're like, holy shit, that guy's pooping into a horse or something.
I don't know if you remember, but like back in the day, I don't exactly know the time frame in which you were playing a lot of these games too, but I can't remember the name of the franchise or the character that starred in the game. But I remember for a while, the most popular game on the Newgrounds site, and this is obviously a reflection of the culture that we lived in at the time, but the most popular game on the Newgrounds site was a school shooting game. And it was just like this main character, I think, in like with brown hair and a green shirt, and it would be kind of like a storyline based game, but he'd be just like,
was it like the Super Columbine RPG?
It wasn't that. I think it was called like Nico or Pico or something. Like I can't remember.
I bet you could still find it on
oh yeah, you could probably still find it on there. But for a while, the most popular game, and this was like for years, it was just like this school shooting game. And like it was actually a very well done game, like as far as like the playability and sort of the aesthetic of it at the time for a Flash game. But like still, it's exactly like you said, that challenge to sort of like, let's make the most horrible thing we can make just because we can make whatever we want.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. It's a big driving force to a lot of the like Flash videos and stuff that I remember is just like the whoa, you could say that, you can make that, that's crazy, that's so offensive. But it's like that getting away with murder feeling of like, oh, we're so bad, we shouldn't be watching or playing this, but all you and your friends in the school library on the computers are like, Bush shootout is sick, isn't it? We're shooting terrorists. Like.
So before we wrap up, let me ask you really quickly, what's some music you're listening to lately? What's been some of your favorite music over the years? What are some albums and artists that you look back on with the same fondness that you do some of the titles that you talk about in your videos?
It's a very good question. As of late, my playlist on Spotify is all over the place. It's like I mentioned earlier, I've been super into R&B for whatever reason. So like I'm listening to Ray J, but then also
I know you've also said what the new James Blake was teaching you how to love again or something on
yeah,
Twitter.
yeah, I've been a big fan of James Blake for a while now. I gotta say, I listened to the first album and Overgrown pretty religiously. They were both in my car because I only had a CD player in my old car, my Civic that I had. And then I think the Color and Anything, the Color and Everything. I didn't listen to that album a lot. I think I listened to it a little bit, and it was just so long, and I never got around to actually like diving into all the tracks. But then with this new one, I've actually been like listening to it somewhat regularly. So that's something new that I'm enjoying. But as far as like what I'm actually putting on when I'm like going to the gym or something, it's like random R&B. There's like some Enya in there. I've been listening to a lot of like Justice Cross again because that album's just so stupid.
That album is underrated classic.
That album is insane. Listening to there's a playlist on my phone because the town I grew up in is Hot Springs, and so there's a playlist on my phone called Hot Springs Weight Room, which is like a bunch of really douchey rock from like the early 2000s. So there's like POD and Three Doors Down and shit on there.
God.
There's another playlist called
which POD song is it? Is it Southtown?
No, it's Alive. I'm pretty sure is what it's called.
Oh my God,
yeah, that's the one.
Still Alive.
There's another playlist called Dad, It's Not Just a Phase, and it's like old like Thrice and Under Oath and stuff that I was super into.
All the emo post-hardcore stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of that Under Oath stuff that I'm still like super into, which I don't know how to
have a bit of it. Did you have a bit of an emo phase?
Oh hell yeah, definitely.
Are there old MySpace pictures of you with like with the girl pants and with the?
No, I guess maybe I shouldn't say definitely because emo is definitely like you think of the kids that actually like had the dyed hair and that. No, I was more of like a closeted emo that I just felt it and listened to it. I just looked like I just had
just emo in spirit.
Yeah. I've also been listening to a ton of like 90s house music. Which is super
golden age for it.
Yeah, it's super apparent in the music that I'm making too. Like I've realized over time that like since I got a synth and stuff, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, wow, okay, someone's really into house music right now. And then, oh man, yeah, it's just all over the place. As far as like new stuff, I think I'm a pretty big Beach House fan. I'm a pretty big James Blake fan. I listen to all sorts of rap. I mean, that's like for the longest time, like even in high school, not to be like hip or that I was cool before everyone else was listening to it, but in high school, it was like none of my friends were into like rap or trap or any of that, but I was like super into fucking like Waka and Odd Future and all that stuff when I was in high school. So a lot of that is still like, I still love all of that shit. And obviously like 21 Savage and fucking, basically anything that Metro produces, I'm like, okay, I listen to that.
Yeah, Waka and Odd Future in high school is the trajectory of a lot of people, so that's not too weird. And also
too off base. Yeah,
you're talking about a time where hip hop was not nearly as. It's funny to think in such a short span of time just how omnipresent the genre has gotten.
It's like the whole top 50 charts now is like that's what I meant of like before it was taken over, which isn't even like, it's not that I was like a unique butterfly. Like you said, like Odd Future was a huge fucking deal, but yeah, definitely wasn't like how it is today, where it's literally every hit has like Migos or someone on it, and it's got the similar beat, similar flow, and my dumbass loves it, and I'm like, oh sweet, another song I can blast in my car, but it's not, you know. I don't think a lot of it is stuff that years from now I'm particularly going to remember, like Cross or Introducing or like the infamous Mobb Deep or, you know, all of these albums that are like some of my favorites that today I'm still going back and like listening to, but I still like it. I don't know. My taste is all over the place. It's like my YouTube channel. I don't know what's going on with it.
LOL, you're so random.
I'm so random. XD. Can I get some XDs in the chat? XD, please.
Throw down a fucking XD in the chat.
I'm gonna do XD in the chat, and I'm gonna do a raw
XD in the chat. Throw down some XDs in the chat if you're a real G. Okay.
I'm gonna do a RAR XD. There it is.
There you go. Thank you.
Oh, how do I get the? I can't get the text thing to go down. How do I? Okay, hold on. There we go. Oh, okay, you still hear me?
Be careful. I don't want to lose you.
You still got me?
I still got you.
Booyah.
I still got you.
Nice.
All right, man. I want to thank you for coming on and taking the time and talking with me. And you know, what are some projects and videos that you're working on right now that we can expect in the near future? You know, where are your content making adventures taking you next?
I like to keep things as surprises, but in the near future, as in the next couple days, there is something I've been working on with my best friend that I think people are not gonna expect at all. It doesn't have to do with video games or music or anything, but it's a business that we're doing. So keep an eye out for that. Might have to do with going to the gym. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then I'm trying to finish a bunch of songs to drop an album somewhat soon.
Okay.
I don't want to put a date on it because I probably won't hit it if I put a date. And then yeah, just making whatever vids I can think of to make. I'm moving at the end of the month, so if I'm being honest, I was like kind of why I was saying I haven't been playing games. I've just been like go because I have it till the end of the month till I move, and moving is stressful and all that stuff. And then I'm going back out to LA to see some friends in early March, and it's so I'm trying to. Time management is really hard. That's my answer. Is I don't know. Time management's hard. We're gonna try to finish some stuff.
Time management's hard. You're moving around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good luck with all that you're doing and everywhere that you're going.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will stay in tune with it.
We still need to play Smash, which my friend is borrowing my Switch, but we need because I'm very scared to play. Even I've only played Ultimate like twice, but I'll do it.
It's okay. Like you know, I fucking suck. You know, I was playing online last night and fucking getting pummeled, man. I was fucking getting pummeled.
I mean, maybe those guys are just really good. I've seen some clips of your Pac-Man, and one of my best friends plays Pac-Man, and I hate playing against Pac-Man. And your Pac-Man looks way scarier than Cameron's. No offense to Cameron, but yeah, I'm not excited about it, but I am excited about it. So
it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. And we'll put some clips up online afterwards of it.
We'll put some booyahs on Instagram for sure.
Yeah, we'll get some booyahs out there.